16, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. In other words, the abomination of desolation is Antichrist. And when he stands in that holy place, claiming to be God, claiming to be Christ, you know that time is very, very short at that point. And you can start counting down the days, literally, not literally, what have you. But you know that Christ's return is not too far away once Satan takes that step of declaring himself to be Christ. And certainly, as written in Revelation chapter 11, once he kills the two witnesses, then you know it's really close. 3.5 days until Christ, the true Christ, returns. Verse 19, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. This could confuse many. This has nothing to do with giving birth to children. How can I say that? How can I document that? The best place, I believe, to document that is Isaiah chapter 54, verse 1. And I'm going to read it to you. You can go there if you like. Isaiah 54:1. Sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear, break forth into singing, and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord. Now, let me break this down. That may confuse some. Who is the desolator? Who is the abomination of desolation spoken of that I just mentioned, that we just covered? Antichrist. And those who are children of the desolate are children of Antichrist. Those who fall to him are deceived by him. The children of the married wife is the bride of Christ, are the bride of Christ. Christians, the church, Christian body, what have you. The bride of Christ is expected to be a virgin bride, spiritually speaking. Therefore, if you have those who are Christian, claim to be Christian, really do love the Lord and love Jesus Christ, that would bear a child and give suck. Now, you have to think spiritually here. Going back to Isaiah chapter 54. We're not talking flesh children, natural childbirth. We're talking spiritual. If one who is supposed to be a virgin bride awaiting the return of the true Christ becomes a child, bears a child of the desolate or desolator, then they are no longer a virgin, spiritually speaking. That's why it's woe to them, because when Christ returns, they are not going to be acceptable to him at that time. Now, if it was done out of ignorance, in a sense that's no excuse, but in another sense it is, and that's why there's a time of correction and a time of teaching in the millennium, I believe. But that's what's being discussed here. Not childbirth. I'm going back to Matthew 24, verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Again, parable of the tares. What was the harvest? End of the world. Do we harvest in winter? Well, no, you harvest in the fall. So if you're making your flight in winter, if you're trying to be harvested in the winter, then guess what? You're harvested out of season. You weren't harvested by the true Christ. You were harvested by the false. This woe to those who give child and are with suck, give suck with child and are with child, and who are taking flight in the winter, are those same ones that will be praying for the mountains to fall on them, because they're too ashamed, frankly, to stand before Christ, because they knew they blew it. And most of them didn't mean to. Verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. 23, then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ. Again, key in on this. Who is this addressed to? Believers, Christians. This is Christ saying, he's saying, don't be deceived by man, claiming to be a Christian preacher. Don't be deceived. If any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Revelation 13, we should have time to go there, cover just a little bit. You're going to see, or you can read for yourself, Satan and his fallen angels booted out by Michael from heaven in Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 13, Satan calling lightning down from heaven in the sight of men. They're going to have the power to do miracles. So, you're going to have people believing this is Christ. Look, he's performing miracles. Christ is saying, don't believe it. I don't know. Do you want to fall for the first one who shows up? Claiming to rapture you away even? Or do you want to endure to the end so that you can perhaps, if it be his will, and if you be one of his set-aside ones, one of his election, that you would have that opportunity to bring the gospel forth in one of the greatest miracles of all time, when the Holy Spirit speaks through you in that moment. That's up to you. It really is. Verse 25, Behold, I have told you before, wherefore if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. A lot of warnings if you're going to be gone. A lot of warnings not to believe that Christ is here if you're floating out of here. Are there not? I mean, think about it here. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. At that point, there's not going to be any doubt that he's here. It's not going to be somebody coming on the scene. There will be no doubt. 28, for wheresoever the carcass is, there shall the eagles be gathered together. This has to do with doing away with the flesh and cleaning the earth. 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, after what? After the tribulation shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, those who were deceived and fell for when somebody said, Christ is here. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now, is that before the tribulation, or is it after? We just covered it. It's right here. It's after. And yet, so many are waiting for that first Christ to come fly him out of here. It's not written. And I know that there's some who would say otherwise. If we have time, we'll cover that. 32, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is not. Jeremiah chapter 24 deals with the parable of the fig tree, the return of the fig, good and bad, to Israel or to Jerusalem. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation, the generation who sees all this transpire, who sees the fig tree putting forth leaves, shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. We're in that generation right now. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of the day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage to the fallen angels, who are coming back with Satan, booted out, again, Revelation chapter 12, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Now, again, I can ask, did the flood of Noah's time take Noah and those on the ark and sweep them away? No. They were safe. They were left, if you want to say left behind, they were left behind. The ones taken by the flood were those who were off in the ways of the world, off in the ways of wickedness, the mockers, the scoffers, the non-believers. And unfortunately, I could say too, though, those who were quite frankly just not correctly taught from the Word of God. And again, then you have two in the field, one taken, one left, two women grinding, one taken, the other left. The first one taken is taken by Antichrist, being the point. Now, I want to turn quickly now to the book of Revelation. And I want to turn to Revelation. I was looking here for my notepad, which fell on the floor. I want to turn to Revelation chapter 6. We got about 18 minutes. We're going to hopefully get through. We'll certainly get through what we can get through. Revelation chapter 6. And we're going to get, and these are basically the seals given by Christ to John. Chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. This would be the first seal. And I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. 2, and I saw, and behold, a white horse. Well, wait a minute. Christ comes on a white horse. Hold on. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, this one has one crown that's given to him. He sits on a white horse, and he has a bow. What's this word bow in the Greek? You can check it out in a Strong's Concordance. It's toxon. It's of the cheapest or simplest fabric. In other words, it's in an imitation. It's Satan as Antichrist. Antichrist simply translated or meaning not against Christ, but instead of Christ. And Satan, trying to deceive whom he may in that role, trying to imitate Christ's coming, Christ's return. But he doesn't have, I believe the bow, you can call it a bow and arrow, but I believe actually the bow being even symbolic or a portion, or you might even say the rainbow. Some would say the Shekinah glory of God from his throne, over his throne. But the point being, this is not Christ. This is an imitation. This is the false one. This is the deceiver. But he comes trying to imitate and trying to make it look as much like the appearance of Christ as he possibly can. We'll get to the appearance of Christ before we're done here as well. And I'll go on here. Verse 3, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. This, I believe, having to do with political, the political dynasty, you might say. The realm of politics, the realm of governments on earth at war with one another. Verse 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard